A patient was suffering from griping stomachache, and he went to the doctor's clinic. The doctor was not there in his chamber. The patient was waiting, and each moment was seeming like an age long. Finally, when the doctor came, the patient expressed his problem to him, and the doctor said, "Not to worry. I've got a medicine here in the cabinet, and this will cure it right away." He administered the dose to the patient, and in less than a minute, the patient's stomachache started subsiding. The patient said, "Doctor, the cure was right here, and I was suffering because of my lack of knowledge of it." The doctor said, "That is exactly what it is. Human beings suffer in so many ways because they lack knowledge of the cure." Vedavyas says, "Ajnanamevasya hi moola karanam." The main cause of the suffering of humankind is ignorance. There is nothing as sublime in this world as pure wisdom. Even in the material realm, one little bit of knowledge can make such a big difference. You know, there is an affliction called scurvy. The doctors here will be knowing it gets caused when you don't receive any intake of vitamin C for a month at a stretch. And that is why in the olden days, the sailors who would be in their ship for 1 month or 2 would get afflicted by scurvy. And it is such an awful disease. So the colonialists who came from Europe to America in the 15th, 16th century, they were getting afflicted by scurvy because of their sea voyage and because probably they didn't access vitamin C out here. Now, there was one vegetable that could have solved their problems, and that was tomatoes, which were full of vitamin C. And yet these colonialists who died in huge numbers because of scurvy never took advantage of tomatoes for many decades, because some of them had carried them to Europe, and there one person had misinformed that this is like the wolf peach, and if you eat this, it will cause frothing in the mouth and it will cause twitching of the body and even death. Everybody believed that misinformation, and that was the reason the cure for scurvy was in front of them. They did not utilize until somebody informed them it is not the case. And then they started healing themselves. So even in the worldly realm, we all know that one gem of wisdom makes such a huge difference. A patient was suffering from griping stomachache, and he went to the doctor's clinic. The doctor was not there in his chamber. The patient was waiting, and each moment was seeming like an age long. Finally, when the doctor came, the patient expressed his problem to him, and the doctor said, "Not to worry. I've got a medicine here in the cabinet, my cupboard, and this will cure it right away." He administered the dose to the patient, and in less than a minute, the patient's stomachache started subsiding. The patient said, "Doctor, the cure was right here, and I was suffering because of my lack of knowledge of it." The doctor said, "That is exactly what it is. human beings suffer in so many ways? Because they lack knowledge of the cure. Vedavyas says, Ajnanamevasya hi moola karanam. The main cause of the suffering of humankind is ignorance. Of course, somebody may say that it is lack of availability of vaccine in developing countries, that's why humankind is suffering. These are all smaller reasons. And the main cause why we are unhappy, the main reason why we are not blissful, we are not experiencing love and the light of knowledge, is the ignorance that is enveloping our soul. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is revealing divine knowledge to Arjuna. Now think, who is speaking this knowledge? It's coming from the lotus mouth of God Himself. When you keep that in mind, you benefit more from the knowledge. The Chit Shakti gets added. Otherwise, knowledge becomes devoid of Chit. So, Lord Krishna is bestowing that knowledge. But for others to benefit from it, faith must be established. Without faith, people don't utilize it. And to create faith in Arjuna, in the knowledge that he is bestowing, Lord Krishna in this verse is giving its credibility. Like, for example, there are, weight reduction diets. They have this package for reducing weight. But why will anybody adopt it? So they give testimonials before, after. People look, wow. Now the faith is getting created. So likewise, Lord Krishna, He is the master teacher. If He just says, Arjuna, here is the knowledge, Arjuna will hear it but never implement it. So to establish the credibility, Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, this knowledge I am giving you is not just to make you fight the war. It is the same science that I bestowed in the beginning of creation. So He bestowed it to Brahmaji, as we all know, Tene Brahmaridaya Adi Kavaye. Bhagavad says, but here He says He also bestowed it to Vivaswan, the sun god. And the sun god bestowed it to the Prajapati, the progenitor of humankind, that is Manu. And Manuji Maharaj, he bestowed it to the first king of the solar dynasty, which was Ikshvaku. So he's saying that this is how the knowledge came. And that also helps create bhav towards it. Now, you go to somebody's house. Let us say it was your grandfather used to live there who is no more. And you're going around. And then your father says, this is the chair on which your grandfather sat for 20 years. Now you look at the chair differently. The chair is the same, but the way you look at it has become different. You have got that jnana chakshu. Likewise, you go into a temple and there is an idol made of stone. Somebody who is unaware of its importance thinks, it is an idol. But then you look at it with the eyes of knowledge. The prana pratishtha was done. We invoked the presence of the Lord in these deities. and millions of souls till today have worshipped it. Now the bhav increases. And if somebody tells you, it was actually first given to Jagadguru Ramanujacharya by Hanumanji himself, who manifested. Now the way you look at that deity will be completely different. Layers of devotion will have gotten added. Likewise, Lord Krishna is telling, look, it came to Manu, and our Manuji Maharaj, he lives for 30 crore, 67 lakh 20,000 years. And our Manuji Maharaj, Vaivaswat Manvantar, he is already 12 crore years old. So this knowledge, this science is so old. And that also is a limited description, because God is eternal. And the soul is also eternal. So the science of God realization is eternal. That eternal science, Lord Krishna says, Arjun, I am now discussing it with you.